Guys, welcome back to the channel. Per popular request, we're going to do a quick startup and walk around and familiarize ourselves with basic operations of the MTVR. Truck is still a wreck from the Georgia Rally this year. Anyways, top left you have oil pressure followed by water temp, transmission temp, tachometer, speedometer, air, both primary and secondary, two different needles, voltage, and fuel level. You have your horn in the middle, you have your hazards, turn signal left and right, high beam and low beam is off of the turn signal stalk. The headlight switch is different from the older military trucks. You have all lights off. Brake lights and turn signals will still work. Running lights, headlights. You have blackout select. And then you can actually use your blackout lights. You have your CTIS override switch. Dash dimmer light all the way down is off. Low brightness, high brightness. Windshield wipers, high and low. Then you have your windshield washer pump as well. You have a engine high idle switch, jake brake, and then with the jake brake you have high, medium, low. Winch, which this is a Mark 23, it does not come with a winch. I assume that these are just dead-ended right behind the dash. You have your driveline engagement. I'll do a little bit more on that here in a second. Fan forwarding for whenever you're crossing water, prevent from tearing up your fan blades. And then you have a ABS check function. Transmission is an Allison 7-speed. You have reverse, neutral, and drive. And then when you're actually in a gear, you can select. So you can actually limit what gear you go into maximum. It'll shift up to whatever gear you have selected. The truck always takes off in second gear. If you want to manually select first, you have to come to a stop and place the truck in first. If you hit D automatically, it will go right back into standard drive, second to seventh. You have neutral, then you have reverse. It does have a backup siren with it. If you want to disengage that, you can go over to blackout select, flip that up, just in case you're trying to be relatively quiet. All these trucks do have a factory backup light on. My high idle switch is currently inoperative. Does not work at all. CTIS. Currently, my tire inflation system does not work. So when you're running in 0 to 2 tons, you're only running 80% capacity of your max power. 2 to 7.1 ton will give you 100% of your engine's power and slightly change the shift strategy, as well as 7.1 to 15 tons. Fairly important to be in the proper selection there when you're off-road with a heavy load. You have highway mode, which is default every time you crank it up, followed by cross country, mud, sand, and snow, and then emergency. You have some tire pressure ratings based upon what the pressures are, what selection you have. And even with mine being non-operative, if I do go into cross country, it will disable the ATC and the ABS. And if I engage mud, sand, and snow, it will engage the rear axle. So a quick rundown on your selection here. Normally, the middle will always be lit up. During nighttime, you can actually see mine flicker a good bit. The bulb is presumably about half burned out. I believe it's a LED. I haven't got around to snatching my dash out to further diagnose. So during normal operations, your truck is only using your rear intermediate axle. Let's say you're in highway mode and you're cruising along and you get spinning somewhere, you need to bring the truck to a complete stop per the TM, foot on the brake, then you can engage your drive line for your rear axle. Now, if you need a little extra traction, you can engage it a second time and engage your front axle as well. And then, of course, down a couple times to disengage. You have your heater controls, you have floor, which will also come out of the dash vents, and you have defrost only. Common problem I'm seeing with a lot of these trucks is missing covers. Matter of fact, you can see majority of mine actually down in the vents. I guess the soldiers get a little rough with them. You have fan speed selection, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's all it has. You have fresh air intake, recirculate, and you can select your blend door operation. Now, on trucks with AC, all of this will look identical, except for there will be a stainless toggle switch right here to engage your compressor. Behind this panel over here, which I will not be covering today, is your TIM system. It is basically a diagnostics computer. Check out everything associated with the truck. You can check transmission codes, you can check engine lights. I mean, you can perform a series of tests, you can zero out transducers, you can check on CTIS. I'm sure y'all have seen a few of those uncovered in the auctions. Fire extinguisher mount, mine's all bent up. My truck was left with the infrared controls in it. Infrared lights are missing. You got your basic off, on, start switch, nothing special. Your filter minder. All these trucks do come with a 12-volt power source on the dash, trailer air supply, and then truck air supply for the brakes. And it's just like a commercial 18-wheeler. In to disengage the brakes, out to set them. Door window crank. Your door handle is right here for the interior. Driver's side will come with a single M16 mount. You have a upper handle, lower handle, and then the exterior handle to help you get in. On the passenger side, you have two M16 mounts and the same handles and everything. The roof is removable with a couple of very quick connections. You can also remove your turret cover. Noticed a lot of the trucks coming out of auction is missing that in the Georgia area. The trucks do come with seat belts, which are adjustable based on your clip position. You can raise up the mount. Overall, I feel like they've pretty much dumbed these trucks down to where literally the most inexperienced person can get in them and drive them down the street with no problem. One thing to take note on, these oil pressure gauges are not accurate. I've already learned that with mine. I think that's why I got mine a little bit cheaper than everybody else. At hot, mine is actually touching the red. You go on the TIM over there and you can actually check and see that it's almost 10 psi higher than what the gauge is reading. Let's hop out, take a quick overview of the outside. One more thing to cover. My air seat is leaking from the valve. You can inflate it or deflate it. The truck is an absolute wreck from the rally. The whole hood is fiberglass. One of the battle scars I earned at the rally. An aluminum bumper. Kind of ridiculous for a $200,000 truck. Factory headlights, absolutely sucks. Otherwise, the truck has LEDs all the way around, excluding most likely your brake lights and turn signals. But all of these lights are LEDs, including the cab lights up there. You got your air filter. These trucks do have a pre-cleaner system where dirt and other large contaminants can be caught by it and sent outbound into your exhaust to help protect your air filter. Truck is still loaded down pretty well from the rally. Haven't gotten a chance to unload it. Been washing it off for the past day or two. In the rear back here, you have room to store a set of ramps. Or your troop seats. Factory backup light. Fancy TAC4 suspension system with S-cam brakes. Articulation with these trucks is not exactly as great as what you'd expect, but with the lockers they do perform pretty well off-road compared to a 5-ton. Fiberglass hood, you can open it with one hand. You have your tow bar mount locations, light jumper, and your glad hands up front for towing purposes. Put down the phone for a second, I'll jump up here and show y'all different fluid locations. I'm going to shut it down and make it a little bit quieter. Alright, so you have your power steering reservoir. Let's see. Your secondary overflow for your coolant system. Your main reservoir for the coolant system. That is your TIM system. That allows you to read all your codes. These trucks have a pretty good hood gap right here. I'm noticing with a Cali truck, a lot of this wiring is dry, faded. I'm going to touch all that up. You can actually see some cracking on the wiring here. Touch all that up and try to prevent any further breakdown of the wires. As y'all know, this engine is electronically controlled, and certain wires could create a nightmare for you to track down any electrical gremlins. You have a 200 amp alternator on the truck stock, and the oil fill is in a precarious place. It's easiest if you pull this inner fender liner, just like a 939 5-ton right here. You have your oil dipstick tube right there, air compressor, fuel filter, starter down low. Truck has a automatic ether injection system. So once it reaches below a certain temperature, I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, it will automatically send a small burst of ether into the intake. The sensor for that is right here. Air horns, these things are plastic, very, very quiet. That's definitely going to be one of the first upgrades I want to do to the truck. I'm on the other side. Windshield washer reservoir, turbo, exhaust, more of the intake. Here is some specs for those that are wondering. Hop down and I'll show you the transmission fill and check. Got your battery box. Got to get me a couple more rubber hold down mounts for it. All these trucks are factory vented up high for the axles and transfer case and transmission. You have your transmission dipstick fill located up high next to your exhaust. You have your dipstick for checking the level down low to where you can reach it from the ground. A little bit of the load that I have left over. That's pretty much it. One of the downsides I've noticed to these trucks is you can see grade out of them backing up, but you can't slide the window open anymore to communicate with passengers in the bed anymore. Guess it doesn't matter if they fall out or hit the ground or anything, right? They're riding in the back for a reason. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, make a few more video suggestions, and I'll see what I can do. See ya.